And then finally, this next one is an interesting one. And actually, if there's one thing I want you to take home from this lecture, which explains why artificial intelligence is different to human intelligence, it is this video. So the Tesla owners will recognize what we're seeing on the right-hand side of this screen. This is a screen in a Tesla car, and the onboard AI in the Tesla car is trying to interpret what's going on around it. It's identifying lorries, stop signs, pedestrians, and so on. Now you'll see the car at the bottom there is the actual Tesla, and then you'll see above it the things that look like traffic lights, which I think are US stop signs, and then ahead of it there is a truck. So as I play the video, watch what happens to those stop signs and ask yourself, what is actually going on in the world around it? Where are all those stop signs whizzing from? Why are they all whizzing towards the car? And then we're going to pan up and we'll see what's actually there. The car is trained on enormous numbers of hours of going out on the street and getting that data and then doing supervised learning, training it by showing that's a stop sign, that's a truck, that's a pedestrian. But clearly, in all of that training data, there had never been a truck carrying some stop signs. The neural networks are just making their best guess about what they're seeing, and they think they're seeing a stop sign. Well, they are seeing a stop sign. They've just never seen one on a truck before. So my point here is that neural networks do very badly on situations outside their training data. This situation wasn't in the training data. The neural networks are making their best guess about what's going on and getting it wrong. So in particular, and this is to AI researchers, this is obvious, but it really needs to emphasize, we really need to emphasize this. When you have a conversation with ChatGPT or whatever, you are not interacting with a mind. It is not thinking about what to say next. It is not reasoning. It's not pausing and thinking, well, what's the best answer to this question? That's not what's going on at all. Those neural networks are working simply to try to make the best answer they can, the most plausible sounding answer that they can. The fundamental difference to human intelligence. Yeah? There is no mental conversation that goes on in those neural networks. That is not the way that the technology works. There is no mind there. There is no reasoning going on at all. Those neural networks are just trying to make their best guess. And it really is just a glorified version of your autocomplete. Ultimately, there's really no more intelligence there than in your autocomplete in your smartphone. The difference is scale, data, compute power. Yeah? Okay. So I say, if you really want an example, by the way, you can find this video. It's easily, you can just guess the search terms to find that. And I say, I think this is really important just to understand the difference between human intelligence and machine intelligence. Okay. So this technology then gets everybody excited. First, it gets AI researchers like myself excited in June 2020, and we can see that something new is happening, that this is a new era of artificial intelligence. We've seen that step change, and we've seen that this AI is capable of things that we didn't train it for, which is weird and wonderful and completely unprecedented. And now questions which just a few years ago were questions for philosophers become practical questions for us. We can actually try the technology out. How does it do with these things that philosophers have been talking about for decades? And one particular question starts to float to the surface. And the question is this technology the key to general artificial intelligence? So what is general artificial intelligence? Well, firstly, it's not very well defined. But roughly speaking, what general artificial intelligence is the following. In previous generations of AI systems, what we've seen is AI programs that just do one task. Play a game of chess, drive my car, drive my Tesla, identify abnormalities on X-ray scans. They might do it very, very well, but they only do one thing. The idea of general AI is that it's AI which is truly general purpose. It just doesn't do one thing in the same way that you don't do one thing. You can do an infinite number of things, a huge range of different tasks. And the dream of general AI is that we have one AI system which is general in the same way that you and I are. That's the dream of general AI. Now, I emphasize, until June 2020, this felt like a long, long way in the future, and it wasn't really very mainstream or taken very seriously. And I didn't take it very seriously, I have to tell you. But now we have a general purpose AI technology, GPT-3 and ChatGPT. Now, it's not artificial general intelligence on its own, but is it enough? Okay? Is this enough? Is this smart enough to actually get us there? Or to put it another way, is this the missing ingredient that we need to get us to artificial general intelligence? Okay, so what might general AI look like? Well, I've identified here some different versions of general AI according to how sophisticated they are. Now, the most sophisticated version of general AI would be an AI which is as fully capable as a human being. That is, anything that you could do, the machine could do as well. Now, crucially, that doesn't just mean having a conversation with somebody. It means being able to load up a dishwasher, right? And a colleague recently made the comment that the first company that can make technology which will be able to reliably load up a dishwasher and safely load up a dishwasher is going to be $1 trillion company. And I think he's absolutely right. And he also said, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. And he's also right with that. So we've got this weird dichotomy that we've got ChatGPT and co, which are incredibly rich and powerful tools, right? But at the same time, they can't load a dishwasher. Yeah? So we're some way, I think, from having this version of general AI, the idea of having one machine that can really do anything that a human being could do. A machine which could tell a joke, read a book and answer questions about it. The technology can read books and answer questions now. That could tell a joke, that could cook us an omelette, that could tidy our house, that could ride a bicycle, and so on, that could write a sonnet, all of those things that human beings could do. If we succeed with full general intelligence, then we would have succeeded with this version 1. Now, I say, for the reasons that I've already explained, I don't think this is imminent, that version of general AI, because robotic AI, AI that exists in the real world and has to do tasks in the real world and manipulate objects in the real world, robotic AI is much, much harder. It's nowhere near as advanced as ChatGPT and co. And that's not a slur on my colleagues that do robotics research. It's just because the real world is really, really, really tough. So I don't think that we're anywhere close to having machines that can do anything that a human being could do. But what about the second version? The second version of general intelligence is, well, forget about the real world. How about just tasks which require cognitive abilities? Reasoning, the ability to look at a picture and answer questions about it, the ability to listen to something and answer questions about it and interpret that. Anything which involves those kinds of tasks. Well, I think we are much closer. We're not there yet, but we're much closer than we were 4 years ago. Now, I noticed actually just before I came in today, I noticed that Google/DeepMind have announced their latest large language model technology, and I think it's called Gemini. And at first glance, it looks like it's very, very impressive. I couldn't help but thinking it's no accident that they announced that just before my lecture. I can't help think that there's a little bit of attempt to upstage my lecture going on there. But anyway, we won't let them get away with that. But it looks very impressive. And the crucial thing is what AI people call multimodal. And what multimodal means is it doesn't just deal with text. It can deal with text and images, potentially with sounds as well. And each of those is a different modality of communication. And where this technology is going is clearly multimodal is going to be the next big thing. And Gemini, I say, I haven't looked at it closely, but it looks like it's on that track. Okay, the next version of general intelligence is intelligence that can do any language-based task that a human being could do. So anything that you can communicate in language, in ordinary written text, an AI system that could do that. Now, we aren't there yet, and we know we're not there yet because ChatGPT and co get things wrong all the time. But you can see that we're not far off from that. Intuitively, it doesn't look like we're that far off from that. The final version, and I think this is imminent, this is going to happen in the near future, is what I'll call augmented large language models. And that means you take GPT-3 or ChatGPT and you just add lots of subroutines to it. So if it has to do a specialist task, it just calls a specialist solver in order to be able to do that task. And this is not, from an AI perspective, a terribly elegant version of artificial intelligence, but nevertheless, I think a very useful version of artificial intelligence. Now, I say, there's here these 4 varieties from the most ambitious down to the least ambitious still represents a huge spectrum of AI capabilities. Okay, a huge spectrum of AI capabilities. And I have the sense that the goalposts in general AI have been changed a bit. I think when general AI was first discussed, what people were talking about was the first version. Now, when they talk about it, I really think they're talking about the 4th version. But the 4th version, I think plausibly, is imminent in the next couple of years. That just means much more capable large language models that get things wrong a lot less, that are capable of doing specialized tasks, but not by using the transformer architecture, just by calling on some specialized software. So I don't think the transformer architecture itself is the key to general intelligence. In particular, it doesn't help us with the robotics problems that I mentioned earlier on. And if we look here at this picture illustrates some of the dimensions of human intelligence, and it's far from complete. This is me just thinking for half an hour about some of the dimensions of human intelligence. But the things in blue, roughly speaking, are mental capabilities, stuff you do in your head. The things in red are things you do in the physical world. So in red on the right-hand side, for example, there's mobility, the ability to move around some environment, and associated with that, navigation. Manual dexterity and manipulation, doing complex fiddly things with your hands. Robot hands are nowhere near at the level of a human carpenter or plumber, for example. Nowhere near. Right? So we're a long way out from having that. Doing hand-eye coordination, relatedly. Understanding what you're seeing and understanding what you're hearing, we've made some progress on. But a lot of these tasks we've made no progress on. And then on the left-hand side, the blue stuff is stuff that goes on in your head. Things like logical reasoning and planning and so on. So what is the state of the art now? It looks something like this. The red cross means no, we don't have it. In large language models, we're not there. There are fundamental problems. The question marks are, well, maybe we might have a bit of it, but we don't have the whole answer. And the green Ys are, yeah, I think we're there. Well, the one that we've really nailed is what's called natural language processing. And that's the ability to understand and create ordinary human text. That's what large language models were designed to do, to interact in ordinary human text. That's what they are best at. But actually, the whole range of stuff, the other stuff here, we're not there at all. By the way, I did notice that Gemini claimed to have been capable of planning. And mathematical reasoning. I look forward to seeing how good their technology is. But my point is, we are still seen to be some way from full general intelligence.